with just about everything they've hinted at for decades that we should expect in our glowing, progressive future. Besides lots of stuff in the media, take the Georgia Guidestones Monument, for example, which carves out a new 10 Commandments for the global era and cryptically refers to, quote, uniting humanity with a new living language, as it lays down proclamations in stone in a dozen languages, including both modern and ancient. This mysterious yet quite modern monument instantly conjures up the Tower of Babel, where an attempt to unite all mankind was thwarted by an angry God, and language was scattered in every direction. What is it referring to? A new living language. Is it the internet, the repository of the global brain, the marketplace where communication is instant and information is a commodity of constant exchange? Does it have anything to do with our brainwaves themselves, the signalers of a coded language inherent in all human beings that underlies our native tongues and other shared dialects? In The Minds of Men, we accurately noted that Norbert Wiener and his associates were decoding EEGs in the brain via their brainwave autocorrelator and developing something of a Rosetta Stone for this native language of the brain, which is the only truly non-symbolic language that's known at all. The ability to use real-time EEG data analysis to read the brain and to write the brain.
In chimpanzee Batty, brainwaves telemetered from the left and right amygdala were received and automatically analyzed by an online analog computer. This instrument was instructed to recognize a specific pattern of waves. The computer was also instructed to activate a stimulator. Each time the waves appeared, radio signals were sent to Patty's brain to stimulate a point known to have negative reinforcing properties. Electrical stimulation of one cerebral structure was contingent upon specific EEG patterns in another area of the brain.
For a long time now, neuroscience has been decoding and reprogramming the brain. As we mentioned in The Minds of Men, the 50s, 60s, and 70s proved the utility of automatic computer-driven behavior corrective signals sent to the brain, which were responding to incoming data being harvested from the brains of subjects and then telemetered to the autocorrelator. It was an eerie two-way process of detection and correction, especially in the context of aberrant behavior from emotionally disturbed mental patients and etc. Fast forward back to now, where among the latest developments coming to market and being reported in the press are devices that can read EEGs from the muscular motor speech center of the brain and detect the words that one thinks of or plans on saying, which can then synthesize that speech more or less accurately at a breakthrough rate of 150 words per minute.
The proof that you are seeking is available in books.
The proof that you are seeking is not available in books.
The proof that you are seeking is available in books.
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process.
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process.
So the breakthrough here is that they've got higher words per minute by reading the center of the brain that sends instructions for moving the tongue, jaw, and mouth to actually speak the words, rather than reading the speech center of the brain, where they've already made progress, but it's much slower and has so far only yielded 8 to 10 words a minute, not nearly fast enough to keep up with human speech. But by reading the muscular center, what the tongue is going to do, they're able to move much faster.
Hop, you, and top.
As the New York Times reports, the new system, described in the journal Nature, deciphers the brain's motor commands, guiding vocal movement during speech, the tap of the tongue, the narrowing of the lips, and generates intelligible sentences that approximate a speaker's natural cadence. And they've basically proven their principles and demonstrated it, and so it's very much moving forward. And so far, they say that as much as 70% of what was spoken by the virtual system has been intelligible. They've been able to actually understand it when it's played back. Some of it's garbled, but it's probably going to catch up quick. The study said, quote, "We showed by decoding the brain activity guiding articulation that we could simulate speech that is more accurate and natural sounding than that which is synthesized based on extracting sound representations from the brain." So they're bypassing the actual sound center and going to the motor center where the directions are sent to the tongue. right? See what they're saying? This is all rather closely related to what Regina Dugan said was coming out of the experimental wing at Facebook that she's been working with, which overlaps with her previous ties to DARPA and various government agencies and telecom giants.
What if you could type directly from your brain? It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize. We're talking about decoding those words, the ones you've already decided to share, by sending them to the speech center of your brain. A silent speech interface. We have a goal of creating a system capable of typing 100 words per minute straight from your brain.
And with this technology, the applications are various, but in essence, Facebook plans to read your mind and automatically type answers for you, or even automatically respond to words and phrases and speech before it ever even comes out of your mouth. It's like closer and closer to telepathy of some kind. And this technology could help certain classes of disabled people, probably. But right now, there are many groups of disabled people that it wouldn't help, at least at the present time. The chief example being stroke victims, whose motor speech areas are typically damaged along with other speech-related capabilities. So this application wouldn't really help that. So what do they really want it for? And what does it mean for the Fifth Amendment that's supposed to protect you from being compelled to testify against yourself, and the First Amendment that's supposed to give you free speech?
Whether or not there are any human rights, if there's any constitutional protections for something like freedom of thought or mental privacy or cognitive liberty, nothing like that exists yet.
Is there a paradox between free speech and the loose lips of a computer reading what you're thinking about saying before you've even said it?
Thoughts and feelings that you may not be able to verbalize, or you may not want to verbalize, and they may still leave a signature in your brain, and we might be able to decode that.
Certain forms of mind reading, I think, legal systems don't bake in any presumption that we can do that, and so there's no legal protections that could be afforded to you.
On the one hand, social media platforms and other tech overlords have been increasingly pruning free speech and expression online. They've been limiting it and curtailing what people are allowed to say and even talk about, and even specific people they can't mention, specific topics. On the other hand, this and other related technologies have given powerful tech corporations the ability to scan your brain for confessions.
Personally, I think it's just a matter of time before there will be a portable brain decoding technology that decodes language as fast as you can type with your thumbs on your cell phone.
Wow.
And everyone will wear them because people have shown that they're quite willing to give up privacy for convenience.
For biometric indicators of stress, worry, anxiety, distraction, the increased heart rate that might give away your guilt, and even the words on the tip of your tongue. Orwell's 3 cubic centimeters of reserved freedom inside your head has been impinged upon. It's been invaded by the development of technology. And the powers and technologies that be are on the cusp of data mining our very gray matter, and might easily turn over secrets we had hoped to keep, or simply comments that are too rude or inappropriate to say in the first place. Think about it.
And once you decode internal speech, then you essentially have the sort of worst possible brain decoding device. Worst possible brain decoding device.
If thought crimes become a punishable offense, even when you are far from even contemplating any such action, we enter into a world that's not only void of privacy and the decency of basic civil liberties, but one in which our brains become an informant against us. You can't hang on to your seat by playing the bizarro, politically correct rules of language and discourse if your thoughts give you away.
I think the cure is mind reading, and I think we're going to accept that cure. Because, Elon is working on some sort of neural link thing.
It's the only way we'll know if someone's telling the truth.
We're going to have it. I think it's good. We're going to accept it, and we're going to give in. I think they're going to create a universal language, some augmented reality language.
Decoding the language of language, decoding the communication in the brain underlying the communication between ourselves and other people in the outside world, is a matter of cutting out the middleman and the sanctity of it all and getting straight at the switches, the control levers. There are even advertisements for 5G depicting a walk down the techno street where two colleagues are communicating in different languages, yet are instantly and effortlessly able to understand and respond to a language that would otherwise be foreign and incomprehensible to them, all with the help of some unseen technology.
It's so seamless, the technology disappears.
You know what? I do. It's literally
Erasing language barriers as we speak.
Erasing language barriers as we speak.
Blurring the lines between virtual and reality.
Ben?
Gabrielle?
Yeah, didn't I meet you at that event?
And although the commercial doesn't explicitly say so, clearly this is some kind of technology that invasively reads brainwaves and interprets them. This is a drastic bridge over the gulfs in our lives, and at what cost?
Imagine, for example, going to a foreign country. You bump into somebody and they start to talk to you in a foreign language. No problem. In the future, you will see subtitles. Subtitles of a foreign language in your contact lens.
It's a manifestation of synthetic telepathy and an apparent part of our complete breakfast in the very near future of 5G hypercommunication, where tech giants plan to put us at the center of a cyborg ecosystem of constant monitoring and feedback with an internet